So many of our Lenny readers are women in their 20s who are sort of in that hazy space between college and the real world,
Right.
where they're not sure what they want to be, how they're going to be that. And we wondered how you felt when you graduated from college. For example, I worked at a children's clothing store, which I was terrible at. I read that you went and worked at a salmon cannery in Alaska, which sounded like a fairly post-collegiate move.
Yeah,
and I wondered
yeah.
what inspired that and whether you
Right.
ever had that moment of indecision.
Absolutely. I don't trust anybody who says that they didn't have some questions in their 20s. I mean, that's a period of such exploration and often torment in people's lives. And so when I graduated from college, I had made the decision I was going to go to law school, but it was a hard decision. I wasn't quite sure that was exactly the right thing to do, but I thought I would give it a try. But first, I went off with some friends on this jaunt. We drove all the way up to Alaska, went up the then unpaved Alcan Highway, and we took odd jobs. I washed dishes. I did end up working in a fishery where the salmon were brought in, and we had different jobs. My first job was to gut the salmon, and that meant that I had a pair of hip boots and a spoon. And there were some gentlemen from Japan who were experts in taking out the caviar, but then they would throw the carcass in the pile, and I had to take each one and clean out all that was left. And, I was trying to do a good job, so I was scraping, and they're screaming at me in Japanese, and somebody else is screaming at me in English. I didn't last long then, and then I was kicked upstairs to do packing. So I was packing the salmon. You had to pack head, tail, head, tail, head, tail. And I noticed that some of them didn't look really healthy to me. So I raised it with the guy who was running the plant. He said, "What do you care? They're going to be shipped overseas. Nobody in America is going to eat them." I said, "Well, I don't think that's right. We shouldn't be, sending salmon that's going to make anybody sick." He said, "Oh, just don't worry about it." Anyway, I go home that night. I go back the next day, and the whole operation has disappeared.
No.
They have disappeared. I guess they worried that some of us would have said something to someone. So I didn't get paid for that work, but it was called sliming. That's what I started off doing, and I've often said it was a great experience for being in politics.
To be a practitioner of sliming.
Being a slimer, so to speak,
of
right?
Of course.
To be slimed or slimed.